Sonny, Joey, 500. Got some goats in the building.
Get ready for a shakedown.
Prepare for a shakedown. We from Philly where they clap like huddles when they break down. Get ready for a shakedown. We underdogs, my guy. Kinda used to all the hate now. Prepare for it, man. Y'all get it. My QB got swag. My wideout is award winning. His fly was fly. Joey and 500. Like and subscribe. Yeah. Here's a quote you can sing back. Shake squad up and don't be a dingbat. It's a shakedown.
Don't you frown.
It's
Here
a
comes the shakedown.
Let's go.
Yo, by the way, Kate Digback here. Welcome to the Philly Shakedown podcast. I guess the first official one of the off-season. Joey Shakes, what is happening, my man? What's going on with you?
Bro, I felt like we haven't talked in like a month. I felt like it's been a while. So I know we had some issues with scheduling last week, so we had a lot going on. So that's why we didn't have to take it down earlier.
I was in Florida last week, moving my mother-in-law out of her house, which was like 91 degrees down there. I mean, it's beautiful, but it was hot, and it was a lot of work, and yeah, we just didn't have time. But man, we have a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of stuff waiting, like a lot of stuff setting up to happen that hasn't happened. So like, there's a lot to talk about, but nothing's happened. You know, kind of like that. K's Hana 877. Thank you for being a member of Dingbat Nation for 9 months. Shout out to you. What up, King Dingbat and Joey? What is going on? What is happening? Man, I don't know where to start. I mean, the last time we spoke was the Super Bowl, was after the loss. I mean, that was a tough loss. No question about it. I mean, do you have any thoughts of anything about that game that came up to you afterwards?
I'm holding on to a lot of stuff right now. I'm really not over it, and I probably won't get over it for a while. And at the end of the day, you know, we lost, and, you know, I don't want to have the excuses flying all over the place, but it was, there's a lot of stuff that happened in that game, finding out later on, and it just gets to a point where, you know, look, we had bad defensive play in the second half. There was no excuse from it. We could blame Jalen Hurts for the fumble. We could blame a lot of things, but at the end of the day, the defense didn't show up. And even with the outside activity that happened, you know, in this game and why they did what they did, and obviously with the field and everything like that, you know, we gotta stay true to the fact that, you know, our defense didn't do nothing. And it was sad, man. It was really sad.
Yeah, it's a tough loss. It's one that I felt like, you know, we should have won. You know, it sucks. There's no doubt about it. Mars 1005 says 500 with the fresh cut. What's up? That's right. Haircut, shave. I had to get rid of that was a playoff beard I had. Had to get rid of it. And, you know, I can't allow anything to interfere with matrimonial duties. As soon as that could happen, we got to clean up. Anton Davis super chat goes, has Joey watched something about Mary yet? I love it. I love it. You're gonna just have to watch it, dude. I guess that's a no. I take that as a no. Bleed Green, welcome to being part of Double Moonwalkers, man. Shout you. Thank you for upgrading your membership, man. Appreciate that so much, man. Yeah, so I mean, you know, Super Bowls, I've kind of moved past it. It hurts. I do think the fact that we won one made it a little easier. I know that's in a weird way. Like, if we hadn't won a Super Bowl, if we would have lost in 2017 and then lost this one, that would have been really, really bad. But it sucks. It sucks. And all I care about is getting back, man. Like, I want to go finish the job. I think this team, you know, if they do the right things this whole season, I think they can get back there again. But right off the bat, we lose both our coordinators. We lose our offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. Well, what are your feelings about that? I'm sure you were like me and probably glad Jonathan Gannon's gone.
Yeah, it was like out of nowhere. Like, and then finding out the news afterwards with Jonathan Gannon leaving. You know, they left him in Philadelphia. They didn't tell Jonathan Gannon about this interview until after that night. like that they literally left him there. They took him there. We lost and we left him there, gone. But you know what? Good things hopefully to come later on. Steichen, congratulations. You know, his press conference was really good. He was announcing all the offensive players at his press conference with the Colts, and he was very emotional. And you know, he did a good job here. So you know, good luck to him and everything. You know, so.
Mm-hmm. Now, what about Jonathan Gannon? Do you want to give him some good luck too?
No. I'm just saying, like, I watched some of the because I don't know. It was recommended on YouTube, like his little plane ride and going to Arizona, and I don't know, man. Like I'm so happy. I'm so happy about it. Like I was really happy about it. You know, I didn't really want to lose Steichen so much, but yeah, it was. Go ahead, you're good.
No, I think Arizona has been. This is why Arizona's Arizona, and they don't win it ever. Why the guy just scored 38 points in your home stadium, and you hire him? I wouldn't have touched him with a 10-foot pole if I was the Arizona Cardinals. No way. Asia Robertson, member for 32 months of Dingbat Nation. Thank you so much for your support, Asia. Good to see you. Prayer for me. My mom has breast cancer. Oh my gosh, Asia. We will definitely be praying. You know, give your mom our best. And yeah, I there's nothing good I can say except for we're praying and just stay strong. Sorry to hear that. We really are.
Sorry about that, man.
You know. Ryan says, my family has been dealing with issues like my grandpa and uncle and my aunt being sick, and now my mom might be in the hospital for 7 days. Ryan, sorry to hear that, man. We'll be praying for her as well. That sucks. It sucks. Hate to hear all these bad things going on with everybody, man. Mm-hmm. You know, Frylock says free agent starts in 10 days or so. Need a defensive coordinator, so we have a plan, so we can decide what the fuck we do in the first round picks. Well, yeah, I mean, what are your thoughts on? I guess we kind of know who our offensive coordinator is going to be. What are your thoughts on him, and then who we should go for defensively?
Brian Johnson, I think it's going to be Brian Johnson at the end of the day. Like, they haven't interviewed any other OCs. Brian Johnson's known Hurts for years, knows how to use him. I think the most important thing is we wanted him in the building with Hurts. I don't think we wanted him to leave.
Right.
And hopefully, you know, can kind of continue what Shane Steichen has done with this team this past year. But at the same time, maybe can expand the playbook a little bit and you know, and do some different things with Hurts. So I'm actually really excited about Brian Johnson, to be honest with you. I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, I am too.
Yeah,
I am too. I like him.
DC's weird right now because I think ultimately it's going to be Denard Wilson, the cornerback coach, or it's going to be, I think it's between Denard Wilson and Sean Desai. I think it's between both of those guys. And I'm not a big fan of promoting from within, but I actually started to really like the idea of going after some college coaches, kind of thinking outside of the box a little bit, going after guys like Glenn Schumann, defensive coordinator from Georgia, and Jesse Minter from Michigan, you know, really good defensive minds. We don't know that Leonard, the Wisconsin defensive coordinator, seemed like it was promising. He backed out for personal reasons. I think ultimately, look, I don't know, because, you know, going with these, there's only so many coaches out there. We missed out on Vance Joseph, and I really wasn't like partying for it. I really wasn't like crazy excited for it, but he's had some good defenses. But there's only so many coaches you could hire, so you have to think outside the box and go outside the NFL and grab somebody else, because are they just going to stoop down to what's left and just take whatever's left with the best reputation possible? Or are you going to go outside the organization, go outside the NFL and grab a college coach that maybe has a really good defensive mind? So there's a bunch of different choices they have right now, but which one are they going to go with? I think it's going to be Denard Wilson. And let me tell you, last July with Jonathan Gannon, he did say, you know, that this, you know, that Denard Wilson's his right-hand man. You know, but I'm willing to give Denard Wilson a chance to see maybe he adds something different, but I'm not trying to get myself too excited about it. It kind of scares me a little bit.
Yeah. That deal says Schumann is who he wants, or Rex Ryan. That's where I want. I would love Rex Ryan to come in and be the defensive coordinator, or Schumann. I like the idea of Schumann, especially having, worked with N'Kobe Dean, Jordan Davis, and he knows these defensive players in college football. That could be big in the draft. He actually knows these guys. I like that idea. But I don't. I think you're right. I think they're going to hire from within too. Desai may get it. I don't know enough about what he likes to do to give like an opinion on him either way. But I do think that the Eagles have an opportunity here to upgrade the defensive coordinator position, because I know Gannon. I know he had good numbers and the defense had good numbers, but man, you came up small in that Super Bowl. Man, you just too small. I want more pressure, man. I want constant pressure on defense.
We were worried about that all year, even when we were 4-0, 5-0, 6-0, 7-0. We were always worried about Gannon every single week, about Gannon's bringing life to these teams to get back into games, and you're respecting way too many quarterbacks. Even last year, I don't care about the excuse we didn't have the roster for it. Like, look what Derek Carr did to us last year. Look what Herbert did to us last year. Like 85 to over 90% completion percentage is just embarrassing, and it's inexcusable. So, and it caught up to him the last game of the season against the best team in the AFC. It caught up to him, and he got outcoached, outplayed. Simple. He said, so Gannon had the interview with Peter King, and he said for those fake jet motion plays they scored on both sides on those 2 touchdowns, he played cover 0.
I know.
No safety help, man on man in the red zone, cover 0.
Well, that was he blitzed in the red zone, and I was like, "What are you doing?" They were like the 3-yard line. Like, that's not the time. That's the time you drop everybody back and make the windows harder to throw. I was not happy with him at all, man.
What a piece
James
of garbage,
23.
bro. Sorry.
Oh man, I know. No, I hear you. James, thank you for Super Chat. Goes, hi guys, great to see you. Elliot Shore Parks tweeted to prioritize the offensive free agency and the draft. I'm with them. Think about it. In both Super Bowl trips, we gave up 30+ points. Can it get worse? No, I mean, it's interesting, and we'll get a little bit into it, because it's kind of the way I've been thinking about how to approach this offseason, because let's face it, you're not signing everybody back. It's not going to happen. I mean, I was looking at the cap today. They got about $7 million in cap space, right? 5 of it is rolling over. There's only so many guys you can restructure contracts with, so you're only going to have so much money. I think that the Eagles they need to come up with an out-of-box way of approaching this offseason. If they want to get back in to the Super Bowl, I just think replacing Bradbury with a lesser, cheaper corner, or Javon Hargrave, I don't think it's enough. I think you got to do something else, and we'll get into that in a second. Let me get the super chat. Rakoya, David super chat. Fuzz from Australia says Philly needs Rex Ryan as a defensive coordinator. Pound Cowboys still stink. Yes, I agree. Cowboys still stink. I would love Rex Ryan. I don't think they'll do it, but I would love him. Clark Roberts, Super Chat goes, Ayo, Joey 500, how's it going? F. Gannon. Yes.
Clark.
Agreed. Bonzology says, Gannon schemed to survive and didn't let our guys play to win. Agreed. Yeah, Gannon was just, I mean, look, you're talking one stop, Joey. One stop
all you needed
in the second half, and they probably win the game. It's crazy. Jordan Power says, what does everyone think about getting a wide receiver 3? Like the idea of drafting one, but not until around 3. Quez broke my heart too many times last season. Quez was a disappointment, and I like Quez Watkins. But, I don't have this pulled up. If I send you something, can you I guess there's no way you can put it up here to show, right?
Yeah, I just have to email. I have to email. If you send it on the phone, I could email it to myself, and I could put it up.
How can you put it up?
Oh, actually, I don't know if I can. No,
I don't think you can. Well, I'll just read it then, because I don't know how to do it. But so here's what we have draft pick wise, right? So we have 2 first-round picks. We pick number 10 and number 30. Then we have a second-round pick. We pick number 62. We have a 3rd round pick. We pick number 94. Then we don't pick again until the 7th round. And we have 2 7th round picks, and we don't know where they're at yet because it's based on compensatory picks. So that's pretty much what the Eagles have. They have no 4th, no 5th, no 6th round picks. So it would not surprise me if they do something in order to get more picks. If they make a trade somewhere, But if you look at it, if you look at this team, how do you get back to Super Bowl? Like, how do you replenish everything that you've lost? Like, what do you do? Do you have any plans? Is there anything you would do this offseason? Anybody you think they need to go out and get?
You really have to. I think you really have to depend on the draft this year. The draft is what's going to make this team, and that's what's going to save you cap over the years. If you draft great players, that's what's going to happen. I've looked at some of the free agents. I've been going over a million times. Offensively, I'm kind of, besides obviously we're going to be extending Jalen Hurts and how that's going to happen with some restructures or what's going to happen with that, I think running back is probably one thing that we could think about. And, Kenny G is the only guy on the roster right now. I don't know if Trey Sermon's still here, but, Kennedy Brooks is on the roster. But now with only 2 preseason games, you're really not going to get much looks out of any of these guys because the joint practices are much more value than preseason games. I don't know why, but it is what it is. Cam Jurgens will move to right guard if Kelsey does stay. That most likely 100% will happen. Quez Watkins probably needs some type of competition this year. And to find out, I don't know if you knew this or not. This is when I don't think we were doing any shakedowns after the Super Bowl. I think Quez was dealing with a grade 2 shoulder sprain.
I heard that.
For weeks he was playing on it, and we were wondering why they phased him out, and they had Zach Pascal in these games more into the blocking and double tight end sets they've been using. So maybe Quez, but why rely on Quez Watkins in the biggest game to make the biggest catch? I don't. The guy never plays consistently, so you really trust him to make that catch? Like that's.
It was a perfect pass, too. Perfect pass. Bleed Green David Super Tagos linebacker Bobby Wagner from the Rams just got released. Yes, no, maybe so. What are your thoughts? Would you take a chance?
Maybe. I don't know. I think if you're losing White and you're losing Edwards is gone. That's 100% he's gone because there's so many suitors right now for him right now. White might come back. I don't know. Maybe if he just wants to come back for a year, I don't know. But I think they still got to pair somebody up with Nakobe Dean. And I don't know who else is available at linebacker. I'm not really sure. I honestly don't know who's available. Who else is available? There was another guy available from the Chargers. What's his name? He's like 20. He's young though. He's really young. I forgot his name though. It's going
to be hard to get Edwards. Wagner, if he came at a discount, I don't know. I'm looking at he had 81 solo tackles last year, so he was still somewhat productive. But it would depend. You really need Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean has to be a player this year. He has to be a player.
Oh yeah, Kenneth Murray. Kenneth Murray's going to be available from the Chargers.
Yeah.
But without his 5th year, they did not pick up his 5th year option. So but he's 24, and I don't know how much.
Yeah, but that's a bad sign that they don't pick up his 5th year option because they were talking. Yeah. Schwartz wanted him, if you remember, and I don't know. Kevin Perry, David Supertay goes, would you be interested in possibly trading Slay for a younger Ramsey or Alexander, or both teams trying to rebuild? It's an interesting question. Like as far as the Ramsey situation goes, I know that they're talking about Ramsey. I would pass on him. And I would pass on him because I just don't think you have the money. Right. If you trade Slay, I was looking at over the cap. If you trade Slay, it's going to cost you a lot of money. You're not going to save a lot of cap. So you have to do it after June 1st. The best thing you could do at Slay is restructure his deal. If you restructure his deal, you could save $12.5 million. Nice. Okay, so you could do that. But I think Ramsey, I think those guys are all out. This brings me to my point, right? I'm thinking about this. Like, it's going to be hard to go out and sign all these guys, right? I don't know how they signed Javon Hargrave. I mean, they're talking, if you look at draft or like free agency valuation, they're talking $20 million a year. Now, I don't think he's going to get $20 million a year, but that's a lot of money. How are you going to sign him? And then how do you get Bradbury back? You're talking about T.J. Edwards going. No. I don't know how they sign all these guys. I don't. I think you get Chauncey Gardner. I think he stays. And I think maybe you get a deal with a Brandon Graham who wants to take less for money, and Kelsey, and I think those two guys come back. But everybody else, I don't know how they're going to keep them.
Yeah, then the promise of Jordan Davis is that he really needs to make a big step next year too.
Yeah.
He really has to, because if Jordan Davis doesn't make a big step next year, he's fried. I mean, no, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just was saying, but this leads me to a thought I've had, and I did a video on this. If you want to make your team ready to go to Super Bowl, you're not going to totally be able to build it the same way you'd had it last year. But you still have the nucleus. If you look at the offense, where's our weakness? Right guard, you're going to lose a right guard and Sayamalu, and your running back, because you're going to lose Miles. But every other position on starting offense is good. What if, now hear me out, what if the play is Bijan Robinson in the first round? Yeah. Or you trade for a Dalvin Cook, or I don't want to say Henry, but maybe the play is to improve the offense, make the offense unstoppable. So you're over 30 points a game, so that even if you're going to lose something on defense, then boom, your offense is so good it's going to carry you. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then in that case, what I would want is a defense that relies heavy on the blitz and takes chances, that gets a lot of turnovers. Now, if you could add turnovers and that running game and no weaknesses on offense, I think you can get back there. This is what I'm thinking. Like here's my thoughts on the draft right now. If Jalen Carter or Will Anderson fall to like 6, I'm trading up for him, because I would totally like Jalen Carter. Especially if you hire their defensive coordinator, right? And if they don't fall 6 and they go early like we think they're going to, I may draft like a cornerback or whatever at 10, but then I may take my other first round pick and trade up, and I try to get Bijan Robinson. Because if you add Robinson, a kid who looks like he could be a star on this offense, and then at right guard, let's say you put Cam Jurgens. Now you have the weaknesses on offense. You're probably scoring over 30 points a game. Otherwise, I don't know how you're going to bring all these guys back defensively. No, that's my thought, No, I don't think they can afford to trade back one of those picks. I think because of how many holes you have defensively, and a couple, one on offense, really, or two, because we already know Cam Jurgens is going to be probably set at that right guard position if Kelsey doesn't retire. You're gonna have to go corner. I mean, you're gonna have to. I mean, this draft is really deep at cornerback. There's a lot of good prospects. I've watched a good amount of them so far, and it looks really promising. There's probably at least 4 of them that can start like now. Right. And Bijan Robinson's great, a 3-down back. But if you draft a running back in the top 10, okay. If you do that, you have to use him to your full advantage. Don't pull treating Miles Sanders like kind of how Doug did in 19, how they really put him in the passing game. I was still pissed off they didn't have Miles Sanders in the pass game, because I think he's a dual threat back. And not to mention, it was like 5-6 games where he didn't even get any carries in the first half. If you got Bijan Robinson on your roster, you got to use him to his full extent and use him for everything. So that's what, if you're drafting a guy in the top 10 at running back, which I'd be shocked if they do that. And I totally agree with you on loading up on offense. If they think that they can't get enough on defense, take chances on defense, be more aggressive to win football games, because playing this cautious passive ball is not going to help going into next year if you got less talent on your defense. So I get it.
I just don't know how you replace all these guys that's on your defense. I mean, you're going to lose. You're talking about quite a lot of guys to lose and guys that were impactful. Maybe the outside the box way of thinking about this is to actually improve the offense and then do things, like get young guys, maybe, top of the draft, you draft defensive players. And, maybe it's like trade for Dalvin Cook or something like that. Turn around, draft top defensive players. I'm just throwing it out there. Like, I don't know. But, like, I think I think it's easier to fill all your holes, pause on offense, and hopefully get good enough where you score enough points where it makes up for your deficiencies on defense, because otherwise I don't know how you get all those guys back. How do you sign a corner, a linebacker, maybe 2 linebackers, 2 defensive tackles? How do you get all that back?
Yeah, your defensive line is really important. Like, that's another thing. Like, you can't afford to lose 4 defensive linemen. And like you said about Hargrave, like, I don't think they can afford, if it's $20 million a year or they figure something out. I mean, they need something long term. That's why I think, when you talk about Will Anderson, some of these other guys, it'd be great to move up and get them, like if they drop to 6 or something like that. So I get it.
Yeah. Cal says, don't replace all these guys in one season. I'm not casual, but it's more than one. Oh, yeah, it's more than a one-year situation. Of course, you have to look more than just 1 year, but at the same time, you're coming off going to the Super Bowl. I want to go back. I want to go back. And I think that this team is, if they can get the right players or make the right moves, I think they can go back. Why wait? I think you can go back, Yeah. Joe says, we don't need a running back before we need defensive players. Running backs are a dime a dozen, especially behind this line. Stick with getting defensive help. I know. I get it. You have a great line, and pretty much whoever runs behind them is going to be successful. But what if you add a top-tier talent behind that line? We always talk about good players behind this line, or, a Boston Scott, a Gainwell. But what if you add a premier player behind that line? Like, how good is that offense going to be? And if they're scoring 30 points a game you're going to win a lot of games. I'm just saying, it's going to be – I don't know how they're going to do it in defensively. I think you got to think outside the box. I think you got to try to do something a little different. And, that's kind of how I see it. And hopefully – we some of these draft picks that we took in previous years develop. That would be great. Like, if McPherson could come in and play corner, if they kept him, that's who they go with. That would be huge for us. But we need some of that. I think we need to do something outside the box here. I do. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
Bleed Green, David Super Chat goes, what do you guys think about the Cook rumors? Would you want him? I mean, I like Cook, but the only thing is he's going to be expensive. Those running backs are a lot of money, But if you get a guy like a Bijan Robinson, who's going to be under a rookie contract, I mean, geez, I know. And typically, I believe in the mindset of you don't take a running back in the first round. I usually agree with that, but in this situation, I may pull the trigger, dude. I may pull the trigger.
No, I mean, you Kenny G ain't the answer. I'm sorry, but like it's not enough. Like, you need a legit threat back there. The last time we had a dominant back, really a really big dominant back, was LaShawn McCoy. It was the last dominant back we really had, and we haven't had something like that in a long time. But just imagine with having these read options and with Jalen Hurts in his legs, and how dangerous it really could be, because you got your wide receivers, you got 2 number 1 receivers, you got Dallas Goedert still on the roster. Even if you want to draft them backup tight end too, like from what Daniel Jeremiah said, between defensive end, between tight end, and between running back, it's the best draft for all those positions in a decade.
Right.
That's how good those positions are going into this draft. And I totally believe it.
Says three down running back. Yeah. And Kendo says, so many holes defensively, take a running back in the top 10. They need to get younger on defense. Well, one thing they say about a good defense, the best defense is a good offense, because if your offense is on the field, your defense isn't. That means that other team can't score. Now, I'm not saying I don't want to take Bijan Robinson in the top 10. If that's where he's going to go, I'm not going to do it. But what I'm saying is if some of these, forecasts have him at 20, I saw 20, 21, 22, 18, if it's around there, I got another number one pick. I got 2 second-round picks next year. I might try to move up and get him, with the second. I'm not wasting that first top 10 pick on him. No. There you go, defense. Now, let's say that's not in the Eagles' game plan, right? Let's say, because I think if they don't do anything like we were talking, I think Kareem Hunt's coming to Philly. I think Kareem Hunt's going to be the guy. And at that case, then I want to trade up for Will Anderson or Jalen Carter. I want to get a blue chip defensive player under a rookie contract.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's what I want. I totally agree.
Yeah. That's his last quarterback drafted that was actually good with the A's was Troy Aikman, right? Agreed. I mean, it's not the typical way to think about how you do it, because that's not what teams do. They don't like to draft running backs in the first round, especially the Eagles. But the one thing we've seen with Howie Roseman is he's done a lot of things that aren't the typical thing. He's done a lot of things against the norm, because a lot of times when teams are all saying, well, we don't want to go this way in the first round, and none of those teams do, that provides opportunity for you to get a player who's, really good that maybe falls further than he should. So I think that if the Eagles, and I don't know all the answers, but I think that you got to think outside the box here. I think we've got to figure a way, and I think if Howie can, I think the Eagles can go back to Super Bowl, because I look at their schedule and I know the schedule's not, but who you're playing home away. I think it's tough, but I think it's doable. I think they could win 13 games.
Yeah, I think they'll still be. I think the Eagles will still be a good team next year. It just. I think the draft is priority. Like you got to hit on 3 draft picks. Like you have to hit on 3 guys. There's no doubt about it. Having the 10th overall pick there. So whatever we find out between free agency until the draft, we'll get a picture of what they're going to do or what we feel like they're going to do. But I feel like if you already have an offense that's pretty much like set stone, like you're just missing a couple little pieces, whether it's just getting that bona fide running back, then go ahead and do it. Because if you start putting too much on defense, I feel like you gotta pile up on offense a little bit and try to gas teams out, and put points on the board so your defense doesn't have to be on the field too much. So, we'll see.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know it's not the typical way to think, and normally I wouldn't, but I'm trying to figure out how this team gets by with possibly losing so many guys. Now, if you want to say, well, listen, we're okay taking a step backwards for a year or two while we get things set, then that's a whole different story. But I'm thinking I want to go back to the Super Bowl. I want to go win this thing, man. Joe says, hearing about the cap situation and drafting running back in the first round, that's hurting a cap that can't afford any more things hurting. I mean, it is and it isn't. If you pay a running back, let's say you draft him at 20, you got him 4 years under a rookie deal, plus if you pick up that 1-year option, it's probably cheaper than you're going to sign any free agent running back. It's going to be cheaper than you would get Jacobs, Miles Sanders, probably Kareem Hunt for. It's going to be cheaper than all those guys.
It was the same as last year, though. When it was last offseason, we were looking for that wide receiver, and the Eagles were linked to every receiver that was available. It was Calvin Ridley. That didn't work. That was like Allen Robinson. It was DJ Chark, and it was all these other players. Now this year, because Miles Sanders is probably 100% going to walk, we're going to be linked to every single running back. Interesting enough, I feel like they will go into free agency or trade for a running back if they really want one. I feel like they're not going to waste their time in the draft on one, even though it is. Yeah, it's a good draft for running backs. Yeah. I think they go trade for one or sign one. I do.
I think that's most likely the scenario. I think that's most likely the scenario that they probably sign one, and it may be a guy like Kareem Hunt. It may be a David Montgomery, because I know that they had interest in him in the past, but at that point, then you got to look at defense. Like where are you going to what are you going to do in defense? I think they have to do something bold, man. I think you have to be aggressive. If you look at the Eagles in 2016 offseason, right, going into 2017, they were very aggressive. Alshon, LeGarrette Blount, they went out and they made all these moves, right? The move to trade up to get Carson Wentz. All these things were against the grain. And then in 2022 last year, look at everything they did. When the Eagles are aggressive, they go to the Super Bowl. When they sit back and they let things happen, they fall by the wayside. I think you have to be aggressive, and I think you have to do some things unorthodox this year. I really do. You know?
Well, you gotta remember too, dude, because that going into 17 off season, that he barely spent money in the free agent. Like there were some cheap contracts that and
Right.
every free agent worked out like everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It was perfect. It was the perfect situation. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? So but
the Eagles were really the first team that really utilized the rookie quarterback contract, that they went all in and started going out and getting a lot of guys spending money because they had their quarterback on a contract. Most teams, when they had a young quarterback like that, it would take them 2-3 years until they saw the quarterback develop to go give them all the resources. They did that in 2016. They also did it last year with Carson Wentz.
Right.
Now everybody does it. Everybody does it. Now everybody's willing to trade to go up and get a quarterback like the Eagles. The Eagles jumped, made 2 or 3 trades to get up to get Carson Wentz. All these things were unorthodox, were not what teams do, not what we were supposed to do, but that's what Howie did, and it paid off. I'm saying, I don't know what it is, but he's got to have that same mindset this year in this all season. You know, that's what I think. Nate says, Bijan is not a dime a dozen. He's a top 5 player in the class and the best running back prospect since Saquon. It is time to get out of the lens of the positional value and recognize he's a special talent. I agree. He is. And to me, if you put greatness or great talent behind a great line, what do you have? I mean, really, what do you have? If you have a guy that you can give, he's going to be on the field 3 times, what do you have? You know, just because you have a great offensive line, does that mean we should just put an average running back to save money to use other places? Or do you make your strength stronger?
Take advantage of it.
And take advantage of it. Yes, right. Exactly. Yeah. Please, I want Gibbs. Yeah, Gibbs is another one. I mean, I like him too. You know, like I said, I don't want a running back at 10, but I have 2 first-round picks, you know?
Right. And Jahmyr Gibbs too. He's like an Alvin Kamara clone. He's guy makes guys miss. He's got good lateral judgment. His vision's really good. Just fantastic. The running backs are great. I mean, those 2 guys right there are just fantastic. So,
yeah. So I saw Royce Meir asked. He said, if one jackass has to come back between Ben Simmons and Jalen Reagor to Philly, which one do you want? Give me Reagor. I'll take Reagor over Ben Simmons.
I'll just take him and I'll bench him. So simple as that.
You know? Eagles Champ 1 says he thinks Bijan is overrated. Okay, well, I mean, hey, you have a right to your opinion. We'll find out. I think he's going to be very good. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You know, Eagles about to lose their entire defense and still will be better than the Cowboys. Now, I mean, we still got good pieces on defense. I think a lot of it, too, depends on the defensive coordinator. Who's your defensive coordinator is going to be? And how is it going to differ than what Jonathan Gannon does? You know, I don't know. It's crazy to me. I just think we need to do something off the wall, something nobody expects. The Black Line saying they saying Gibbs is fastest player on Bama. That's crazy for a running back. It is. I like him too. I think he's another back. You know, if he's a 2nd round back and you want to take him with the last pick in the 1st round, I'm okay with that. I'm not using a top 10 pick on a running back. Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm going to go defense. But I have another 1st round pick. I have multiple 2nd round picks the following year. I'm going to try to trade up and then get my running back, you know?
Yeah, that's what I would do.
But it's going to be crazy. Philly 500 loves flags. What do you mean? Glizzy says, hey, Philly Shake, what are the odds you think Howie drafts a quarterback like Anthony Richardson? He fits our scheme. And remember how he thinks we're a quarterback factory, and his excuse could be Hurts has been injured twice. I hope not. I'll probably have a meltdown if, like, let's say the second round they take a quarterback. I can't do that, man. I can't do it.
I don't want to see that again. I don't know what they're going to do with backup quarterback, but hopefully not.
Yeah. Thanks. If we get more picks, I try to do that. I think that's possible. I do, Philly the podcast. Shout out to you. You the man. He says 20 cornerbacks, 13 running backs with a third round grade or higher.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's pretty good. But what if you could add the top of the line guy, the best guy, and the guy who's going to make an impact right away? I don't know. Sometimes I think, making your strength stronger is not a bad thing, And the other thing is like Sayamalu, Sayamalu's going to be gone, right? Do you think Juergens plays right guard? Because if he doesn't play right guard, you got to get another right guard. You got to draft the right guard.
No, you can't redshirt him. You can't redshirt him for another year. You gotta. He's a second round pick. He should have been playing last year. Obviously, we already had guys in the building, but he's got to play next year. Right guard. And I have a feeling Kelsey is going to stay. Like I don't know. We could be wrong. He might retire, but I mean, if he retires, then that's another hole we're gonna have, unfortunately.
Right.
So.
Right. I heard the Eagles are trading all their picks for Mike. Oh, God. Mike Mamula, please. Brandon says Philly has to bring Cox back next year. Davis didn't show he's ready to start. Davis had 0 sacks, and he's going to have to lose a lot of weight to play enough snaps to start. I think Jordan Davis, we have to hope and think that he's going to take the next step. You can't have him be the 13th pick overall, and we're already giving up on him. I don't see how they could bring Fletcher Cox back and Javon Hargrave. If I'm bringing one of those guys back, I'm bringing Hargrave back, not Fletcher Cox. So I think he's gone. I think, unfortunately, they're both gone.
Unless they bring Cox back on a 1-year deal, like a short term, like I don't want to be like $14 million for 1 year. I don't want to be fully guaranteed or anything. So you can't lose 4 defensive linemen. It's almost impossible. You just can't lose all that in one offseason.
It's a lot. It's a lot to lose. And a lot of it's coming on that defensive side of the ball. So you have to figure it out. And it's not like we have, $40 million in cap space. We don't, or we could sign some of these guys back. That's the problem. We don't have enough money to do it. So we have to think. We have to approach it a little differently, Maybe there's players that are going to be cheap. Maybe there's bargain guys that they see that they think could fit in. We'll see. We'll get a sense once free agency starts. George Burwell, thank you for Super Chat. He goes, what's going on, Philly and Joey? Quick question. Thoughts on going Antonio Johnson with the 31st pick safety, 6'3", 200 pounds, can man up on tight ends? I mean, look, at this point, I can't put anything past what the Eagles are going to or going not to do. It just depends. But they do need another safety. I mean, even if you bring back Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, I still think, Blankenship, I can't say for sure he's going to be, our future starter. I don't know. And I think Marsha Epps got to go. I do. Thank you for Super Chat.
Yeah, no, I think they should give Blankenship some competition. There's a bunch. There's so much they need to do defensively. I mean, I think cornerback they need I think they need more bodies. I don't know if Josh Jobe or Mario Goodrich or some of these other guys are really going to step up. I don't know because I don't really trust. I really don't trust Maddox to stay. I don't. Maddox's health is in question. He was already hurt twice last year, and I don't know. They're gonna have to figure it out.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting all season. Hawk 215. Here's I'm gonna drop my post PO box link. This is the address right here, buddy. Let's see. Sincerely, Jason, with the 10th pick, Joey Porter Jr., 30th pick, Jamar Gibbs, best first round. It'd be a great first round. I agree. Listen, and like I said, I'm also open to the idea. That if Jalen Carter falls to like 6, and I'm not saying he will, but if he fell to like 6, I would consider trading up and getting him, because then you would have him and Jordan Davis at your defensive tackle spot the next 5-6 years. Especially, what if they hire the defensive coordinator out of Georgia? So I would also consider that. But I think they need blue chip players. They need blue chip players.
I agree.
Mav wants to keep Sue. If Sue's the right price, I would do it if I can afford him. I would bring him back as a rotational piece. What's HTG? Philly Sports says wrench. Is he talking to you or talking to me?
I think you.
He wants me to give him a wrench. Have you ever seen him before?
Yeah, he said earlier in the chat that
familiar.
He's 8. Yeah, he says he's HTG, or I forgot who he was, but I forgot who he was.
He changed his name.
Yeah, I think he changed his name.
George says, my opinion, y'all are some bad fans. I could care less what your opinion is. I don't care. David Super J goes, now that's the off season. Now Joey can watch. There's something about Mary. Go Birds, right?
Yeah, can't wait.
Dad says no Witherspoon is better than Porter. Porter only played 4 games last year. Yeah, there's a lot of guys to go through. It's going to be fun. We are going to have a lot of fun. Combine's like what, in a week?
Yeah.
Combine's like in a week, dude. Fugly Gang defensive back. David Super J goes, is our cap low because of Wentz's contract? No, it doesn't have to do with Wentz's contract. We got a lot of guys making a lot of money. We made a lot of moves last year. You still have Jalen Hurts. You got to sign him. I have no doubt that'll be structured in a way it won't hurt us next year. Yeah. But I think they said we're around $7 million under the cap. Now you have Slay. He's eating the most amount of money. Then you have Lane Johnson. If Slay restructures, it's about $12.5 million according to over the cap. And if Lane Johnson restructures, that's $10 million. If you get both those guys to do it, then you got $31 million to play with. Then maybe you can keep somebody extra that we weren't thinking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I mean, we'll see. Kevin Thomas says, Trey Sermon going to finally get playing time. I don't know what the deal with the Trey Sermon trade was. He had, 1-2 carries? Looked like Jay Ajayi, and then bing, bang, bang, boom. They don't see him again for the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's crazy. You want Will Anderson? I love Will Anderson. Yeah. Yeah, Logan, I think Miles going to walk. I do. I think listen, this is a team that gives him the ball. They underutilize the guy tremendously. 100%. They underutilize him so much. Then you look at what he did in Super Bowl. Like, how are you going to justify giving him a big contract? I don't see it. I've heard the rumors that Denver really wants him. That Sean Payton looks at him like Kamara type, and I think he ends up in Denver. But I think he's gone. Yeah,
I agree.
I think he's gone. I think Chauncey Gardner stays. I think Kelsey comes back from retirement. I think Brandon Graham takes a team-friendly deal. I think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson gets a contract. And I think Miles walks, Sayamalu walks, Hargrave walks, Bradbury walks, T.J. Edwards walks. That's what I definitely don't think they're going to sign a linebacker. They don't do that.
Yeah, I get it. Going to be loading up. I mean, they loaded up this past year. I mean, you're going to lose a lot of guys when you load up on these short-term contracts. That's what happens.
As Stan says, we have no picks after round 4, which is another situation. Like, if you don't want to trade that second first-round pick, then you're probably, like, if you don't want to trade up with it, you're probably going to trade back with it. Probably get a second-round pick and, like, a fourth-round pick, something like that, because they don't have anything after that third round. So, it is what it is. Would you do something crazy? Would you do something like? Would you try to trade like Slay or something? Is there somebody on his team that they could move that we're not thinking about?
I don't know. I mean, the Slade thing, I heard it was like 21 in dead cap, so I think it's almost impossible to even move him at this point.
Yeah. After June 1st, it becomes 18 million cap savings. But by then, all the free agents are pretty much gone.
Yeah.
The thing with Slade looks like restructure. You'll save $12.5 million if you restructure his contract. He's got to want to do it. So they'll give him upfront money. I think that he'll be a free agent at the end of the year. Instead, I think he would have one more year after this year. I don't know if it's voidable or not, but there's a lot of crazy things got to happen. Mr. National says we need Witherspoons or Marcus Peters. How much would they cost?
I'd rather draft a guy than get Marcus Peters. I would too. Like even Ramsey, when he went to the Rams after like 1 year, I thought he fell off a little bit. I thought Ramsey fell off just a little bit. And I think I'm not saying he's a bad player, but like I said, the problem is like you're not going to be able to fill all these spots this offseason. It's not going to happen, but who knows? Because how he moves money around, how he does contracts. But we cannot panic and just start trading for guys. So, and getting us to a point where you're going to be cap strapped for years, and you're not going to have draft picks like what the Rams did to that won their Super Bowl. And look what they're in now. Now they're just unloading contracts now because they can't afford to keep everybody. And it's just crazy.
Yeah. Joseph says Philly 500. F that guy's opinion. Well, I don't know which guy. I forget who. So I guess we did. Anton said Akilo Witherspoon has to be the target at 10. If Robinson isn't available at 30, trade back and get 2 2s. Take Gibbs, a defensive tackle, defensive end in the second. Yeah, I think something like that is exactly how you have to do it. I think you got to go defense with the 10th pick overall, and if you can be in a position to go up, then you go up. If you can't, then you trade back. I don't think you sit there at 30 though. I think you got to do one or the other. And thank you for the super chat, man. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Trying to catch up. We got over 515 people. We got 515 people in both streams. We thank you guys so much. 515 people, man, on off season. How about that in February? Thank you guys so much for being here. Hit that like. Make sure you subscribe. If you're on my channel, click the link. Go sub up my man Joey Shakes. You definitely want to. What is that little thing? I have some little cat running around. But thank you. Let's see. Philly, you timed me out for what? Fat man left. I was just trolling the shit out of you and Dallas. I didn't time you out. I didn't time anybody. I have not timed anybody. Somebody timed you out. They shouldn't have timed you out. I don't appreciate getting people timed out for stupid stuff. But I did not time you out, my man. It was not me. T. Patrick says, member for 32 months, the Dingbat Nation. Thank you for support. He goes, get the best quarterback in the draft, then it's whatever. I'm not opposed to the best cornerback in the draft. I think cornerback, pass rusher, defensive tackle. I think one of those three, like a defensive end, defensive tackle, or corner. To me, one of those three need to be your first pick with 10th overall pick. But that second one, I'm looking to get a running back possibly. I really am. If what's his face, if Robinson drops, I'm getting it. If he's there at 20, I'm trading up for him.
Yeah, I would do it.
Let's see. Miles would look good in Buffalo. They need a running back desperately. Yeah, they do. I heard some rumors where they're saying Henry to Buffalo. I can't see why Tennessee would trade Derrick Henry to the Buffalo Bills. So.
What, is Singletary not playing up to par?
No, they need a running back, man. They're really a good running back away. I think that would put them over the top. I think it would put them over the top. Daz Deal says Witherspoon is 6 foot and runs 4.3. Obviously, have no clue what you're talking about. Okay, yeah. Hey, listen, I can't wait for the combine.
Oh yeah.
Jay Cott says there's no way we take a running back in the first if they let all them players walk on D. No, you're right. It's not something that they would do. It doesn't seem like it's something they would do. I totally agree. But that's my whole point. Maybe you have to do something outside of the norm because you can't replace all those guys on defense in 1 year. So maybe the play is to upgrade the offense tremendously. Can you Joey, think about Bijan Robinson with this offense, this offensive line. I mean, it's scary, right? It's scary. What if let's say, for example, what if you went and got Saquon Barkley in free agency? That would be scary to put him with this offense. Or Derrick Henry trade. I'm just saying, to add a really good premier player with, to me, one of the most underrated lines in the history of football that I remember, and this offense, how do you stop it? You're going to score 30 points a game. Now, though you may not have the same defense and you have deficiencies and holes, teams got to score over 30 points to beat you. So maybe we need to think about things a different way is what I'm saying. And I think the Eagles will think about things a different way. Maybe not with running back, but I don't know where that's going to be. I don't know what it's going to be, but I know how he's going to go about things differently than we're all expecting. I really do. Because the easy way to think about it is, all right, we were losing a corner, draft a corner. We're losing a defensive tackle, draft defensive tackle. All that is great, but are those rookies going to come in and be as good?
Well, look what we did last year. We thought they were going to go all defense in the draft last year, and we got a lot of defensive players in free agency last year. We thought they were going to go a little bit more, So, I mean, it might be the total opposite. So who knows?
Yeah. I just think that the way how he operates is not what it always seems like it's going to be. It's always a little different, Right. The question is where that's going to be. That's what we're trying to figure out. Justin Westbrook, David Super Chat, he goes, Christian Gonzalez and Kalijah K or Jalen Carter. I would take Carter. If I could get Carter, I would do it. See, I think Carter's a guy that, they talk about him being the best defensive tackle since Aaron Donald came out. And I know that's high praise and maybe too much, but if he is as good as many people think he's going to be, maybe, and you get a chance to get him, you get him.
Oh, and even having off the field issues too, like that might even help. I don't think he's going to drop. Like there's always, every time there's going to be players out there that have, I don't know, off the field or has like an attitude, issue, or I don't know, like, maybe you want to make sure these guys aren't cancers either for a football team, but I don't believe it at all. Sometimes they overdo it when they talk about it on social media and stuff.
They do.
Players out in the draft. So,
yeah. Yeah. Sports News X, David Super Chat goes, number 10, I want cornerback Christian Gonzalez. Okay. To me, I'm not ready. I have to see the combine and stuff to know where these guys, I feel like these guys are going to go. Marshall Chambers, David Super J goes, people forget we tried to get McCaffrey, so it makes sense 500. That's true. They did try to upgrade the running back position and get McCaffrey.
Yeah, I mean, they put in like a let's just try to give them a pick and see what happens. Like they probably knew they were.
What did they offer?
It was like a fourth, or like it was like a fourth or a fifth. I think it was like a fifth-round pick or something like that. It was.
Oh, really? I thought it was more than that. That's interesting. Go along with David Super J goes, happy birthday, Jerry Jones, 900. Now he's 1,392 years old today. 1,300, man. He's aged. What's up? We got my little buddy here. Let's see. Yeah. I'm trying to catch up to the chat here. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Listen, Philly 500, Christian Gonzalez and Devin Witherspoon are super studs, can't miss corners, hands down. And I'm totally okay with it. Like, I'm okay with whichever is the best corner at 10. If they want to go corner, go corner. I have no issue with it. At all.
You're thinking about this year, but you got to think about the future too, because at cornerback it's really important, because if Slay's gone after this year and avoided contract for the 24 season, which they can get out of it, you're going to be down to no corner. You're going to be down to having some empty spots at corner. So they're going to have to draft a corner. There's no doubt. Someone's going to have to start.
Yeah.
Bradbury, I highly doubt he's coming back unless it's for a lot cheaper than expected.
No.
But
go ahead, go play. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I don't think Bradbury's coming back. Joe says, sign Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and Hargrave. Grab the best cornerback available at 10. Fill in the other spots with one-year deals. Stay young and hungry. Recipe for going back to Super Bowl. Question is this. Can you sign Hargrave back? That's what I don't know. I don't know if they're going to. I mean, what they're talking about, the money he's going to get on the open market. If you're him, would you just not wait to hit the open market? He's going to get more money. He would have to take a lesser deal. They're talking $20 million a year.
Yeah, it's
for him. How are we going to afford him? And I think Chauncey Gardner-Johnson has to come back because of his age. You know.
Yeah, true.
Nick DeWick, a member for 6 months of Dingbat Nation. Thank you, man, for your support, man. He goes, Dallas Cowboys fired their nap time coordinator. I saw that they did. I saw it. I mean, it's going to be interesting. Paul Davis Super Chat. He goes, thanks for all the great coverage this year. Thank you, man. We appreciate you. Swift is DeAndre Swift a free agent?
Yeah,
I thought he had a year left.
No, I think they're moving on. The news is they're moving on. Swift to be good.
He may be the guy to get. If you could get him on like a 1-year deal where it's like, you know, show me the money because he's a guy who's potentially, if he can stay healthy, he's a Pro Bowl running back.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't stay healthy. You know? I think that could be the way to go. And that may be how they do it. I mean, those may be the kind of deals that they're looking for. These guys that want to do the 1-year prove deals didn't get enough money on free, you know what I mean? They have something to prove.
True.
Maverick says the only way Dak goes to see the Super Bowl is to buy a ticket or to win the Best Man of the Year award, whatever that was. That's it. 500. Your cat needs its own YouTube channel. I know. They really do. They really do. Oh man. Joe Vegas, what's happening? He says Roseman needs to let the old quote D go away, except for Gardner Johnson. Draft D this year and next. They will get a lot of compensatory picks in 2024. Sign Hurts, pay out his bonus in this year's cap. I don't know if they would pay it in this year's cap or wait.
Yeah, because
it's an extension, so it doesn't kick in until 2024. As far as the older defensive guys, I think the older defensive guys are gone. I think Gardner Johnson comes back. You know, and I think the first pick, most likely the 10th pick, is probably a defensive player. And then I'm not sure what they do at the second, you know?
Yeah, not sure.
It's gonna be interesting. Brandon, Philly's not bringing Hargrave back at $15 million per year. They have depth on the defensive line. It's gonna be hard. I mean, I think Hargrave and Fletcher Cox are both gone. Now, if I could bring back Hargrave, I would consider it. But you're also dealing with guys, what? Fletcher Cox is in his 30s. Hargrave is in his 30s. Bradbury's in his 30s. You know, we got to get younger too. So it's true.
Yeah, agreed.
It's going to be a fascinating offseason. And I think Howie's going to do something outside the box that we're not thinking that is going to be like, oh wow, that changes that changes the whole trajectory of everything, you know?
Yeah.
Nick Witt, David Super Jacobs, thoughts on $45 million per year for Danny Diaz. Daniel Dimes once reported he wants $45 million a year. Daniel Jones. Forget it. He ain't worth that.
Bro, that's what these guys are going to do. They see the market for these quarterbacks. He changed. So Daniel Jones changed agents because apparently it was like $35 million and went up another $10 million. He changed agents. So he wants to be more aggressive and get his money. Does he deserve that much? Probably not. You know, even Derek Carr only wants like 35 a year, and that's what he's looking for. So, you know, I don't think he's worth $45 million. I mean, do I think that they literally took a Giants offense, really no weapons, and he did a pretty good job for what they had? Sure. I thought he did a pretty good job for not having really much of anything in that offense, but, you know, is he really worth that money?
Yeah. If I was the Giants, I'd sign Derek Carr before I would sign Daniel Jones. I'm being honest, dude. I would. What are you laughing at?
No, this is funny.
I thought somebody did something. Anton Davis Super Chat, he goes, I hate when people say Davis and Dean aren't ready. Davis, a first rounder who was the best defensive tackle in last year's draft. No more training wheels. I agree. I think they are ready. I think Nakobe Dean could have played this year, but T.J. Edwards was playing so good. So I think Dean's going to be fine. I think Jordan Davis has to get better at rushing the passer. But, I mean, you can't deny how good he was against the run. You can't deny the impact that he made against the run, you know? So if he comes in, he's better conditioned, in better shape, and he gets better, and he works on his pass rushing skills, I think Jordan Davis will be fine. The thing people got to remember with Jordan Davis is the guy's athletic. The guy has all the talent in the world. He's just got to go apply himself, you know?
Yeah, we're not asking him to be Aaron Donald or anything like that. We just want him to be disruptive a little bit, maybe increase his pass rush a little bit, lose some weight, increase that just a little bit, and then obviously, you know, run stuff, and that's all he's really here for. Like, the statistics aren't going to pop out with Jordan Davis too much, but he's got to make a huge jump next year. There's no excuse.
Could you imagine if you could add Jalen Carter with him? Like, could you? That would be something. Like, that to me would be something. Mavericks says, "Hey Philly, what's the over under and how many picks Dak's got?" Oh, Dak, I got 16 picks next year for Dak Prescott. You know, I got 16.
Who's the Cowboys OC now?
Who's Mr. Oh, it's really McCarthy. He's really the one calling the plays now, which means people don't understand. If you look at him in Green Bay, he hated running the ball. They didn't even have running backs when he was with Green Bay. They're going to throw the ball 50 times a game. So I got Dak Prescott 16 interceptions. You know, Mr. International says, "I love Derek Carr." Yeah, I mean, I don't love Derek Carr, but I think he's better than Daniel Jones. You know. And I saw that you said that you wanted Josh Jacobs. Now, Josh Jacobs is a running back. Like, that's going to cost you what, $15 million a year? To me, if I'm going to, why not get Bijan Robinson? I'll trade up and get him.
Yeah,
they got a rookie running back.
I don't get how, like, if you're going to release Miles Sanders, you're going to go get a better back statistically that had a better year. That's going to probably cost more than Miles Sanders. Probably. This point.
Now, I did read one place that had the Eagles linked to being a suitor for Saquon Barkley. I don't know that that's realistic or not, but I think Saquon Barkley would be unbelievable behind this line.
He would wreck. He would wreck.
If he can stay healthy, he will kill you because he's a 3-down back, and the Giants, let's face it, their offensive line has not been good, and look what he's been able to do. You know, the Giants could very well wind up with Miles Sanders. Don't be shocked if the Giants sign Miles Sanders. Nick DeWitt, David Super Chat goes, "My favorite Mark Holmes quote during the 49ers versus Dallas playoff game. Dak throws a pick in the first quarter. At least he got it out of the way early." I know, he always makes excuses for Dak. Can you imagine doing a whole week's worth of videos making fun of the team that's your rivals that only went to the Super Bowl while your team gets tossed again? Guy's crazy. Joe says, "Eagles love the eight-man D-line rotation. I don't see them changing that anytime soon. Davis' numbers are not as important as long as he takes on the double and triple teams, which freed up." Yeah, agreed. That's why I want Hargrave back. Because if you could free up Hargrave from those double teams, he's gonna be a monster. But I mean, dude, literally, they got ESPN. I think has him ranked the third best free agent available. I mean, if you're Hargrave and you want the most money you can get, you're just gonna wait till you hit the market. No.
Yeah. If that's in his best interest, that's what he wants. Yeah, he's gonna get paid a lot of money.
Would you franchise tag him?
Would I tag him? I don't know what the number is for tagging with certain positions. I don't know what the number is.
There were reports though that the Eagles will franchise Chauncey Gardner-Johnson if they can't work a deal out with him. So you can't let him go. He's 26 years old. You have to keep him, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if they tag them, and usually when guys get tagged, it means they want to work out a long-term deal. So it might happen during the season. I mean, who knows after this year? So we'll see what happens. But.
Yeah, exactly. Cole's Cowboy says, Joey and Philly are good friends of mine. I'm just here for support. We appreciate that, man.
Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate that. Yeah. Joe says, franchise Hargrave after you lock down Chauncey Gardner. Yeah, I mean, that would be nice. What is the cost, though? I mean, that's the question. What would be the franchise tag price for him? It's going to be – I mean, I know how he's going to do something that we're all now thinking, and that's what I'm expecting. And I think that's what it's going to take, you know?
True.
Dank says, remember when the Washington drafted Jonathan Allen, Darren Payne in back-to-back first? I can see the Eagles doing that for Dexter, trade back a couple and get a couple mid-round picks. It could happen. Could definitely happen. No question about it. Weapon X, what's up, my man? Shout out to Weapon X, voice of the Eagles. Go sub them up, you guys, if you haven't. Drop your link in the chat. You go, so much work to be done this offseason. So much work, so little time, but I'm ready to get it on, man. I can't wait for free. I can't even just wait for the combine, man. I just want to get it going. You know, I want that taste of the Super Bowl out of my mouth, man. That, you know, it was brutal. It was brutal. Grayson, David Super Chat, can we get Mark Holmes' new phone number? Yeah, I'm going to put it out there right after the show. I'll post it. I'll post it right after the show. He'll kill me. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. We've been going an hour and 10 minutes. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. We do got the combine coming up. We'll have to talk about possibly streaming that live if you want. I don't know if you want to
do that. Yeah, we can do that.
That would be fun. Yeah. It'd be interesting. I don't know. Any closing thoughts before we get out of here?
Yeah, we have a long way to go. Like even we were looking at the news for today to see if there was anything else. It's been pretty quiet. We still don't have a DC yet. We don't even have an OC yet. We don't have any coordinators, and we haven't. You know, there has been any rumors on re-signs. I mean, besides Chauncey, but it's been really quiet. So Howie's got his work cut out for him this offseason. There's no doubt.
No doubt. I agree. He's just got to stay aggressive. They got to stay aggressive. They got to do some things outside the box. They got to take some chances. And, you know, I definitely think you got to try to restructure Darius Slay's contract, though. Him and Lane, you got it. If you can restructure their contracts and free up about $22 million, you got to do it, man. You got to do it.
Yeah.
You know? Carlos, thank you for the super chat, my man. Appreciate it. He goes, been with you since day one when you look like Jesus. Eagles fly. So thank you, my man. I appreciate that. Yeah, I had real long hair, and I had to roll it up in the hat, and I used to take the hat off, and it would just – I look like Jesus making water in the wine, you know. Crazy. But thank you, man, and thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Yeah, I guess that's pretty much it till next week. You know, of course, we'll have videos out and things like that. But, yeah, we're kind of in wait and see mode, but there's a lot of things to wait on, a lot of possibilities to come, you know?
True. Yeah, we'll be ready to go, man.
True.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be nuts. So we'll see.
Yep. I love the name the Couch Boys. Like the Dallas Couch Boys is my favorite new saying. Like I gotta call them Couch Boys because they are. That's all they are. That's it. Bleed Green Denver Super Jacobs Hargrave tag is $39 million. What?
That's
$39 million.
That's really high. That's too high.
That can't be that high. That's like a quarterback tag, no?
That's really high.
I gotta think it's somewhere around 20 million is my guess.
Yeah.
But it, you know, that's a lot of money. But we will see. But if it's 39 million, that would be crazy, man. That would be crazy. Daz deals later, man. Me and Daz think alike. I know he's on the same page with me with this all season. It should be interesting. With that said, guys, we are going to let you guys go. Take care. We will talk to you later. Of course, don't be a dingbat. Peace.
Peace out.
Play. We had one.
Yo, you gotta be motherfucking
You
kidding
got
me.
to kidding me. We have no time for one more play.
Look at this motherfucker
What you doing?
running from
What you doing?
To get off the field on third down.
What was that bullshit?
That is not right.
Kellen Moore He's got to be better, man. He wasn't.
Oh, that's some bullshit. What was that? We had enough time for one more
He
play.
had an opportunity to win that game at the end.
But the referee screwed us.
Away, but, you know, this is just
The brother screwed us.
You know, I'm upset, but
The brother screwed
it is what it
us.
is, man.
At least they fought back and tried.
Only Cowboys games.
Yeah, you
The brother
literally.
screwed us. The brother screwed us.
It's going to end the way
We had the opportunity for one more play.